Today is one of those editions that makes every Patriots fan's heart race. A taboo fell in enemy territory. A commander refreshed the franchise's soul. A special teams detail flashed a red alert. And a young hero put the league on notice. There's a narrative flip, behind-the-scenes friction, and a decision that could change the team's path over the next few weeks. Anyone underestimating New England will need to rethink a lot. Are you ready to debate, disagree, and most importantly, believe? You won't believe what we've got today. So take a seat, hit that like button, and let's dive straight into the news. You know that kind of game that reframes a season's start? That's exactly what happened in Miami. In a hostile environment, against an offense that atomizes defenses with Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, and the turbo of Devon Achane, the Patriots put up 33 and silenced the stadium. Maye spread 3 touchdowns, Ramondre Stevenson ran with power and smarts, and the roster's highest-paid player, Milton Williams, sealed it with a 4th down sack. Clear identity, physical, opportunistic, implacable. It was more than a win, it was confirmation that there's a plan, execution, and room to grow. The league took notice, but even on nights like that, a tiny detail demands maximum attention. Rookie kicker Andres Andy Borregales, the first kicker taken in the 2025 draft, wobbled again at a critical time. After missing a 40-yarder in week 1, he whiffed on 2 extra points in Miami and forced the staff to chase 2-point conversions. Sounds minor? Imagine if the Dolphins scored on that final drive. One simple extra point changes the math on the clock, alters play-calling aggression, and shifts the defense's posture. In one-score games, volatility at the post turns control into roulette. The message is blunt. You can't repeat that. Teams that dream big close the basic accounts. The fan base felt that chill. So what's the move? Face the situation without hysteria, but with urgency. Borregales beat out Parker Romo, who was perfect in the preseason and productive recently. There's a real chance Romo sticks in Atlanta after a flawless showing. 5 for 5 with a 54-yard long on Sunday night after stepping in for Young Hoku, which narrows the short-term window, but the message stands. Immediate competition. Kickers live on confidence. Confidence is rebuilt with technique, routine, and healthy pressure. Bring in a specialist to tune plant foot, snap to kick timing, and contact angle. Reevaluate the operation with long snapper and holder. Track ball flight in controlled sessions. Set clear weekly targets. Meritocracy, no theater. There's also a market. Jake Moody, ex-Michigan and 2021 Lou Groza winner, didn't miss an extra point in college and is now on the Bears practice squad. He's the classic change of scenery profile. Clean mechanics, strong mental makeup, and enough leg for Foxborough's wind. The floor and ceiling both rise. If Borregales responds to a challenger's presence, you elevate the room without reshaping the roster. If he doesn't, the transition is procedural. Financially, it's cheap. Strategically, it's gold. In one-score games, 3 points become identity. And identity, in September, buys January. Now connect the dots. The defense bit down, the offense found rhythm with Maye in command, and Stevenson setting the pace. And special teams need to keep up. Mike Vrabel's bigger plan is to reduce variance, take luck out of the equation, and make opponents be perfect for 60 minutes. For that, you can't live in suspense at the post. The fan base is split, which is healthy. Would you swap the kicker now, or give it one more week with competition and clear criteria? My read, the locker room buys meritocracy, and believe me, that lines up with a behind-the-scenes shift that could change how we attack the game even more. If there's a single thread running through the Foxborough transformation, it runs through a familiar name in a brand new context. Josh McDaniels is back, but for the first time, not with Bill Belichick above him. The offensive coordinator most associated with the glory years is breathing different air now. Mike Vrabel at the helm, a remodeled roster, and the pressure of reviving an offense that finished near the bottom in 2024. It's a collision of worlds, a blend of past and present, and it hits every fan who still carries memories of Brady, Moss, and Edelman flying under his baton. Only today, the script is different. McDaniels returned in January at Vrabel's invitation after another fall in Las Vegas. Unlike his previous stints, he's facing a group without Super Bowl pedigree and tasked with accelerating Maye's development, a young, talented quarterback still taking shape. The absence of Belichick changes everything. No looming shadow, and in its place, a head coach who knows the franchise from the inside, wore the uniform, and demands intensity. So far, the marriage is respect and alignment. In a Boston radio hit, McDaniels was clear. Vrabel's is great to work for. Visionary, a leader, he knows what he wants. For a guy used to Belichick's vertical hierarchy, that creative freedom is both blessing and responsibility. On the field, we've already seen flashes of what this partnership can be. Against Miami, even with a few miscues, the offense breathed differently. Maye had autonomy to break plays, Stevenson found lanes off adjusted blocking, and the playbook showed real balance between run and pass. It looks like McDaniels with a twist. Less predictability, more elasticity. Here's the key question. Can he update his ideas for the NFL of 2025, where defenses study tendencies in real time and force constant adjustment? That's the debate at Boston roundtables and barstools. The strategic impact goes beyond the field. For fans, McDaniels' presence is a comforting throwback, like finding a lost piece of identity. At the same time, it's a patience test. Those who remember the explosive attacks expect quick results. Realists see a still green roster and a line that has to mature. The tension between expectation and process is where the best narratives live. In the locker room, veterans who survived Belichick's demands are seeing a McDaniels more open to conversation, more willing to swap ideas. That new style could be the bridge between generations. And the debate is hot. Is McDaniels the same offensive savant, or is this the biggest challenge of his career? Too early for a final verdict, but he's not alone. Vrabel backs him, the front office is betting on continuity, and Maye needs that stability to blossom. The big trap would be trying to reboot 207 in 2025. The landscape is different, the weapons are different, but the winning mindset can be reactivated. If McDaniels adapts without drowning in nostalgia, the upside is massive. Delicious irony, the coach who shined under Belichick might be the key gear in a renaissance without him. Which is why this story isn't just about tactics and play calls. It's about legacy, reinvention, and the weight of a name that echoes victories. The season barely started and we've got enough sparks to ignite debate. But hold on, because what comes next centers on an even more talked about protagonist, the young quarterback who decided to flip narratives in hostile territory. There's a phrase that sums up the Foxborough mood after Sunday's battle. A ghost was exorcised. How many years in a row did the Patriots fly to Miami and come back empty, like Hard Rock Stadium was a graveyard of hopes? In this 33-27, the story changed. It wasn't pretty, but it was epic. Against Tua Tagovailoa, a nemesis who seemed to have the manual for exposing New England, the team showed resilience, steel nerves, and a quarterback hell-bent on rewriting the script. The grin on anyone who watched the broadcast says just one thing: the tide turned. Drake Maye stepped into the role expected of him since draft night. With poise, quick processing, and precision, he delivered the best game of his young career. Over 80% completions, 2 touchdown passes, and another on the ground, no turnovers. That's beyond a stat line. It's the authority of a field general who refuses to blink when the pressure climbs. He broke structure with his legs, improvised in critical spots, and above all, radiated confidence. That's when you realize we're not just talking about potential anymore. We're talking about execution against a heavyweight rival. And it wasn't just the offense. Milton Williams was decisive again. Marte Mapu flashed in key tackles. Harold Landry imposed respect off the edge. Even Antonio Gibson, still settling into the system, found usefulness on long downs. The whole team seemed to mirror the quarterback's energy. Remember, this is behind a still green line with 2 rookies on the left side. On paper, that's an Achilles heel. In practice, they held just enough for Maye to shine. It's a sign that Vrabel's plan to accelerate the learning curve is working. Context makes it even sweeter. This Miami was a favorite, with Tagovailoa stacking numbers and Hill Waddle shredding secondaries. In a game of multiple swings, the Patriots didn't flinch. Wonder if this team can close. Williams broke that stigma with the 4th down sack. Wonder if Maye can handle aggressive defenses? He answered with calm and efficiency. Even Greg Bedard, famously tough, praised the offensive approach. If the harshest critic tips his cap, something bigger is happening. For the fans, this win tastes like 2 victories. First, exorcising the Miami Ghosts. Second, proving the future is more than promise. Maye is already delivering. That fuels the debate. Did transition year just become revelation year? Maybe it's early, but when a quarterback shows this kind of maturity, a team's ceiling jumps overnight. And here's the inevitable provocation. If you can beat a division rival in their most hostile house, who says dreaming about January is off the table? The tension point is balance. McDaniels and Vrabel need to let Maye be Maye. That means accepting the risk of improvisational runs, calling into play-action windows, and trusting the kid to know when to push. Over-control can calcify. Measured freedom can maximize. That dilemma will shape the season's narrative. If week 2 is a hint, we're watching an offense step out from the shadow of mediocrity. And while we're still savoring a triumph on enemy turf, another question knocks: was this performance just the opening act of a structural shift on offense? What comes next might be even more revealing for the Patriots' 2025 destiny. If there's one trait separating teams that merely compete from teams that change tiers, it's the ability to let talent breathe. That's what we saw against Miami. Drake Maye didn't just execute the playbook. He bent the game to his instincts. He broke plays when the line was still sinking, used his legs to turn collapse into gains, and showed that confidence is more than a number. For a second-year quarterback, that maturity is striking, which raises the central dilemma. How ready is this staff to truly let him be? Drake Maye being Drake Maye. The offensive line is still a construction site, especially with two rookies on the left. In theory, that should shrink the playbook. In reality, we saw the opposite. A young line showing growth from week one. Babel's mix, leaning into the run to open play action, reduced straight heat on the quarterback's execution wasn't perfect, but it was enough to unleash Maye's improvisation. That's the difference. Average quarterbacks follow the script. Special ones rewrite pages in real time. The numbers already speak. 71% completions on the season, 0 turnovers against Miami, red zone efficiency. But the impact runs deeper. It's the respect you earn in the locker room when a young QB strings together long drives in hostile territory. It's fans realizing that after years of uncertainty, there's finally a trustworthy face of the franchise. It's the feeling that the investment is paying off in plain sight. For a team that finished 2024 with 4 wins, this perception shift is almost as valuable as any single result. The challenge now is strategic. McDaniels has to balance discipline with creative freedom. The instinct to protect a young QB is natural, but too much bubble wrap suffocates what makes Maye different. Remember, great NFL defenses live on pre-snap tells. When your QB adds the improvisation variable, the opponent's calculus becomes unpredictable. That unpredictability is a weapon. It's risk, sure, but calculated risk. That's precisely what separates playoff threats from background noise. The fan base sees it and is demanding it. Let the kid cook. Social feeds blew up with clips of clutch scrambles, bold comparisons, and hashtags mixing humor with hope. It's not just euphoria, it's the emotional analysis of a crowd that senses the difference between another rebuild and a real chance to hit fast forward. When fans believe, the stadium changes. And when the environment changes, the opponent feels it. Foxborough is ready to roar again if Vrabel and McDaniels don't put a leash on what's sprouting right in front of us. And that's the most fascinating part. 2 weeks in, and the conversation isn't whether Maye is the answer, it's how to optimize what he already shows. That's the kind of talk that turns expectation into belief. It gives Patriots fans something they feared they'd lost. Palpable hope. But this is New England. Hope alone isn't enough. Consistency matters. The season is long, and from here every decision carries more weight. So here's the question. Are you ready to trust the kid without collars? Because the next chapter will test whether we're looking at a good quarterback or something much bigger. Take a breath, Patriots Nation. Today we saw a taboo fall, a flexible staff, a special teams unit face the truth, and a quarterback turn expectation into conviction. That's how cultures change, point by point, decision by decision. If the defense keeps biting, if McDaniels unleashes Maye's instincts, and if the post stops wobbling, New England will be a January problem again. I want to hear from you. Would you change the kicker now, or keep the competition for one more week? Drop your take, push back, stir the pot, smash the like button, share with a fellow Patriot, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter.